All right. So everyone, we're gonna do, Christina, if you're cool to hang out with us just for a quick second before we start our presentation. I just want to hear a little bit of a recap of how your breakout rooms went. And I just want to hear how the work is going on kind of finalizing the scripts and plans for your demo day videos. So room one, Brittany, Cecilia, and Rachel, can one of you give me the 40-second overview of how your conversation went?
I will.
Thanks, Rachel.
So I didn't want to disappoint Kelsey, so I did a new kind of script. I guess I was a little confused about how these 1-minute pitches we've been doing are supposed to be like our video pitch, because we have more time and I had a different idea in my head. So we were just throwing out some different ideas to each other. But I think we got some good feedback, and yeah, it was good.
Excellent. All right. Any questions or concerns that arose from that group?
I don't think so. The only concern I was saying is that I haven't filmed a video since I did an instructional video for a flash mob for my friend's wedding in 2016. So I was a little concerned about that. But everything's gonna be fine.
That was a great plug for a story I'd like to hear more about another time. But to your kind of alluded point of how your 1-minute videos are supposed to, or 1-minute pitches are supposed to become 3-minute videos. Obviously, visuals is a big part of that. So, you might be showing things and you might have voiceovers describing what you are showing, but you can also elaborate on those 1-minute videos, or so the 1-minute pitch for the 3-minute video. So if there's something that you're interested in, maybe it's just a mention, or say something like your target customer you just mention is, dog owners, you can talk a little bit about what that means and what it means to own a dog, and kind of invoke some of those feelings of passion for your target customer. Thank you, Rachel. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just said thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Room number 2, Abby, Evody, and Maisie. Would one of you like to tell me a little bit about how your conversation went?
I can.
Awesome, thank you.
We all are like in progress. So we're like figuring out what we want to do for our videos. So we kind of talked about ideas for each of us. And it's funny because we all kind of came up with ideas for the other person.
Perfect.
So it was really helpful in that to kind of talk through it and see other suggestions for how we could transform the 1-minute pitch into an actual video. And yeah, just discussions about that and sharing some insights, but it was really productive.
Good. Thanks for sharing that, Abby. And I'll ask you to send Evody the idea that you had for her offline that we ran out of time for, but sounds like
yes, I was going to.
Awesome. Did any questions or concerns arise from your group, Abby?
I don't think so. Oh, so I keep wanting to clarify this. Deadline for the video is the same day as the business plan, which is the 15th,
Correct.
Thursday.
Yep. Yep. The last week of the program, you will have no deadlines looming, and it will just be a big old party.
There was just one concern, which was just about being able to get the proper video with the COVID and not being able to have other.
That's my idea, actually, Evody, the idea that I had, and it kind of ties into Leap In, so I'll just say it quickly, is maybe you could video to like take a picture or video of our Zoom call, because that reflects the image that you're trying to portray. You get what I mean?
Right. Okay, we could chat about that.
Talk about that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add to that as a real quick add that I do ask that you comply with all public health COVID safety regulations in the filming of your videos. Excellent. All right, thank you, room 2. That sounds great. Room 3, nobody chose to join, so no one will speak for that. But room 4 was Ashley, Josh, and Steve. Would one of you like to tell us a little bit about how your discussion went?
Yeah, I'll go. We had a great little breakout room there. I will be completely honest, I don't have my script really down, but it was still good to be able to kind of talk out the few ideas in my head that I have out, and just kind of know that I have to go back and sit with that and then actually put it on paper and create it and stuff. But that's just kind of where I was. Steve has his completely down, and I'm so excited to see him riding a cow in his video.
Ooh, me too.
No pressure, Steve. Yeah, and then Josh is just gonna try and choose which direction he wants to go. But I think it was helpful to talk about it before we actually have to sit down and do it, and just kind of feel like we're on the right track. Whether we are or not, that's up for everyone else to decide.
That's great, Ashley. Thank you. Any questions, comments, or concerns from your group?
Not me, but Steve and Josh.
Everyone's great. Okay. In that case, I will assume that you are all prepped and ready to start working in earnest on your demo day videos. And again, Abby already had us clarify it, but a reminder that those are due to Mr. David Olette by July 15th. Okay, if you have any questions or concerns or are looking for any assistance or help at all, please reach out. I see that Brittany also popped in the chat that video editing always takes longer than you think. So please keep that in mind as you're going through this. Brittany, you have a question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question about the format for handing it in. Is that going to be given to us, like if it's WAV or MP4, all those specs?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, it's going to be MP4, AVI, whatever you guys send to me will be fine as long as it's a standard format that's either filmed with a cell phone or filmed with any other camera. Unless you're using some type of crazy cinematic camera, it doesn't matter to me. And there will be a Google form that you guys will submit it through because the files will be too large to go over email. So as we approach, I'll just send you guys a link. You'll submit the file through there. So yeah, luckily where we're going to be hosting it, yeah, it allows quite a multitude of video formats. So don't worry too much about that.
Okay, and there's going to be like no file size limit as of right now?
Yeah, if you can try to keep it like under 10 gigs, ideally, 2 gigs preferably, but yeah, like it should be okay. I don't see it being that large.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, any other questions about this before we switch gears a little bit? Awesome. Okay, everyone, it's my pleasure to introduce Christina Larke. Christina is here at my super last minute request to join us today because Christina is the keeper of a really cool program called InStage that Fanshawe has. I gave you a little bit of an allusion to it, but I'm going to turn it over to Christina to chat with us for the next 15 or 20 minutes or so, just to tell us a little bit about this program and how it might be able to help you as you're working on your pitches and preparing for demo day. So Christina, welcome to Leap In.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad it worked out that I could come in today and tell everyone a bit about InStage. So basically, InStage is a virtual reality software that you can use to practice for things like a pitch. So, pitching your business. And it also has simulations that you can practice for a job interview or even just a presentation. Like if you have to give a presentation, you can practice for that as well. The really great thing about it is that we don't need to use a VR headset. So they do have a version of the software that you can use just from home, as long as you have, access to a laptop and a webcam and a mic. All it does is run on Zoom. It's just like the session today. So as long as you can kind of log into Zoom, you're good and you can access the virtual reality. And basically there's characters who will ask you questions and interact with you, and you respond in real time. And they respond back to you. So it's really cool in that way. One of the things that I like about InStage is that it really makes you feel fear. And I mean that in a good way, right? It really gives you that sense of, wow, I'm really talking to someone real, I'm standing in front of someone real. It kind of simulates those nerves for you that you would feel in real life. So it helps you kind of move past and deal with those nerves. So that's one of the really great things about it. So I have a demo video that I can show you. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to make sure I share it with sound so that hopefully we can all hear the video. But when I play the video, if something's not working, just let me know. So let me try the video. Kelsey, maybe give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. So this was created by one of the founders of InStage, and he does a little demo for us on their self-introduction simulation.
Hi there. Thanks for coming in today. I'm David. I'm a regional manager at SAPO.
And I'm Anita. I'm a relatively new trainee here.
I'm Mark. I've been head of product here at SAPO for a few years now, and the role we have open is in my department. I'm looking forward to hearing about what you bring to the table. But please, start with just a brief introduction.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Imran Muna, and something interesting about me is I actually practiced for this introduction using a simulation tool called InStage. It's an awesome experience where you can practice for anything from an interview to a business pitch, and I've actually learned a lot about myself using it. For instance, it can tell you how fast you're speaking, how many times you use filler words like like, or so, how loudly and how clearly you're speaking. So something I'm looking forward to is actually bringing a lot of what I've learned using that technology to the SAPO team and applying it to help you reach your goals. So looking forward to getting to know all of you a bit better. And thank you for having me here today.
Okay, well, that's a good start. Great introduction.
Hi there, my name is Imran Muna, and I'm one of the co-founders of InStage. You just saw me using InStage's online solo mode to practice for an employer introduction. But there are a number of simulations that InStage offers so you can practice in a safe environment to build the skill and confidence you need to be successful in anything from an interview to a product pitch, difficult conversation, and more. We hope you enjoyed learning about InStage, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, awesome. So that's just the demo video for the self-introduction. So a couple of things you probably noticed when we were watching the session is the characters actually do react and respond to you in real time, which is awesome. Oops, sorry, playing it again by accident, in real time. And they can actually be programmed to respond in different ways. Some of them will actually respond more than others, and that's intentional. Just to give you that experience of maybe some people in the session that you're presenting to are really engaged, but maybe other people are less engaged. So they will actually engage in different behaviors so that you feel more prepared to handle different types of responses or body language that you may receive when you're in an interview or when you're giving a pitch. And during this session, InStage will prompt you down the side. It did show up somewhere in the video. Sorry, I think it's on a different video now, but it actually prompts you down the side with talking points that you can check off as you go through. So it's a great way to practice because it actually gives you, here are some of the key things to make sure that you mention. When you sign in for your first ever session on InStage, I suggest doing the tutorial. It will offer you a tutorial, and then that way you can get used to using the software. I myself have used it a couple of times. And the first time I used it, it was a little bit of getting used to, but then I got really comfortable with it. So the tutorial is there to help you. And there's also a live chat button in every session. So if there's any time during your session that you're not sure what's happening or you have a question, there is live support available during the sessions that you can access as well. So basically, they always want to make sure your sessions go as smoothly as possible. So one of the things you probably saw in the video is this analytics report. So this is the report that you would get at the end of your session. And it gives you stats on different factors. So for example, how loudly you spoke, how clearly you spoke, your pace, and your filler words. So it will actually show you, for example, which filler words do you use the most often, and it will count things like so, or like, and you can actually see an objective statistic on that. It also gives you suggested ranges for things like your pace of speech. So it will say, you know, good range to be in is between here and here, and this is where you fell, kind of thing. So in looking at the report, you may find a few things that you want to work on. And that's totally normal. I mean, the first time I did it, my filler words were over the roof, right? And I was like, okay, this gives me a lot to think about and be more aware of some of the filler words that I'm using. So one option is that you can work on some of the things suggested in the report, and then you can do another practice session later and see how your analytics improve. So you can use the tool multiple times just to make sure that you're progressing and you're improving on the areas that you would like to improve. So that's a really awesome feature. I think your report is available for 15 days after your session, but you should be able to download it if you want access to it for longer than that as well. So right now, this is actually a pilot project that Fanshawe is running over the summer. So if you would like to use it this summer, we do have sessions that you can use. I have a handout that kind of explains how to use it. I can put it in the chat and I can email it to you as well, Kelsey. But basically all you need to do to use the software is I'll send you a link that's in the handout. The link takes you to this booking page. So this is our Fanshawe in-stage booking page. You'll see there's a calendar, and all you need to do is pick your day and your time. So let's say I wanted to do a practice session on Monday, right? It will show me the available times on Monday. So let's say Monday at 10 a.m. and then I just confirm. Then you can put in your name and your email. I suggest to use your FOL email. Is the best option. And then here you'll see the scenarios that you can pick from. So right now we have 4 scenarios that you can choose from. So there's a panel interview for a leadership position. There's a basic startup pitch, which I definitely think would be really applicable for everyone. There's a basic self-introduction, which is the one that we watched in the video. And then a freestyle presentation. This one could be really helpful too. This is just kind of whatever you want. You want to have that experience of speaking in front of people, whatever you want to talk about, you can pick a freestyle presentation. So let's put, just for now, basic startup pitch, and then you select the in-stage mode. So I would pick solo session unless you have a group of people, like say there's 2 or 3 people and you want to practice doing a pitch or a presentation, then you could choose group session. But if it's just kind of you practicing on your own, you can pick solo session. Hosted session would be if you have someone come in and actually program the characters for you. So I honestly, I wouldn't even worry about that. You can just do a solo session and you'll still get really good responses from the characters. So that's all you need to do. Then you hit schedule event, and everything is taken care of. This is the virtual reality character, Ava Ives, or AI. She does all the scheduling. So basically now that I've booked, she has emailed me at the email I signed up for with the Zoom invite. And then all I need to do is click on that Zoom link at the day and time. So Monday at 10, and it will take me to my in-stage session. So that's all that you need to do. We have this available over the summer. So I really hope that you'll consider using it and trying it out. We're eager to really get feedback on it, see what students think about it, and if you think it's helpful to you. So when you do finish your session, you will be asked to do a feedback survey. So the feedback survey will just ask you a few questions such as, did you find this helpful? Do you feel more confident after doing the simulation? So if you have a couple of minutes that after your session, you can do a feedback session for us, that would be amazing, because then it really helps us to know if this is something we want to use longer term at the college or not. So that's kind of the summary. Any questions about that at all?
I just think it's really cool.
Yeah.
How often are we allowed to use it, and what topics or areas are we allowed to use it for? Like, does it have to only be for school and Leap In, or can it be for different, like if there was a pitch competition somewhere in America or something and you're preparing for that, or even if it's just like an investor, like, are there any specifics when it comes to that?
That's a good question. I mean, because it's through the college, it's probably ideal if you can use it for, I guess, something like related to Fanshawe, but I don't know if there honestly really is a strict like limit or rule about that. If it's something that could really help you out in some area, it's probably worth booking a session and doing the practice. That's what I would say.
And is it confidential?
Yes, it is. So it is confidential. Nobody else is in the session with you when you do your session. That's one thing I forgot to say. You can record your session if you wish to. And if you say you want to view it afterwards, you could record it and view it afterwards. You could send it to someone else if you wanted to. But if you don't want to send it to someone else, nobody else sees it. So, no staff here, for example, would be able to just go and see your session or view your session or something like that. So it is confidential in that you're the only person present during the session. You can choose to record or not. You can choose if you want to share your recording or not. I know the goal of InStage is to have a setting to practice where you can feel safe and comfortable, right? So they don't want you to feel like you're in front of college staff or something if you're not ready for that yet. So definitely you can go through the simulation just confidentially for sure.
Awesome. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. I think the feedback is one of my favorite parts because even when we do practice interviews, the feedback we get is always kind of subjective, right? It's that person's opinion. So it's really different to get feedback that's so like, this is literally how fast you spoke. This is how many times you used these words. It's a kind of different type of feedback that's interesting to get. So
Christina, this is super great. And I'd like to encourage each of you that whether it's for demo day or whether it's for just your pitch in general, you're going to have to start delivering that pitch out in the wide world. And I think the data behind having that is really powerful. I know some of you are data nuts. Josh, I'm looking at you. And I think that this would be a really cool tool for you guys to use. As Christina said, this is available to the end of the summer. So unlike the Riot Act that I read you on Tuesday, that if you don't get to it before the end of Leap In, you can use it up until the end of the summer. But Christina, if my thoughts are correct, there's only a limited number of spots in the pilot, and once they're gone, they're gone. So the sooner you use it, the likelier you are to have one of those spots. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there are a limited number of sessions that we have access to. That being said, if it's something that's, I know there's certain classes, for example, that are using it. So if it is something that you need for a class or, for Leap, and by the time you go to book, if there's no sessions, you can email me and let me know, and they will ensure there's enough sessions for people who needed it for like a class assignment or, for something like Leap. They will make sure you have the sessions to complete that. So I just shared the instructions in the chat, and I'll share my email as well. So if you have any issues or when you go to use it, if there's not a session or something, you can send me a direct email and I can work on that, resolving that for you.
Wonderful. Well, Christina, this has been, oh, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was just going to ask a question, like with your experience with InStage, Christine, do you know if they have like a sales training side of the software? Like for VR sales training? Might not be something available, but I'm just wondering if that's in their suite of other things they might offer.
Like as a simulation kind of thing. Yeah, they do. They definitely do have quite a few different simulations in their suite. I was actually looking at that earlier. They may have something like that. Like I know they even have things like giving feedback, like giving difficult feedback, having a difficult conversation. They definitely have different pitches, like types of pitches and sales and marketing ones. So they may have something. I can send you their site, the link for their site, where it actually goes through all the different types of simulations in their library. So you can check it out. As I showed, we only have 4 right now, but depending on, like, available for Fanshawe, but depending on the feedback we get and how things go, it is possible we can add more to the library if we keep using InStage further on. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be very helpful. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
How long a session are we able to use?
I think they're about 15 to 30 minutes. Is typically the session length, but when you're actually in the session, you usually have different options. Like the one simulation I've done a lot is the interview simulation, and it gives you options like to repeat an answer to a question. You can also like add additional questions when you're in there. So sometimes you can kind of extend it and have redos and things like that when you're in the session, or it could be shorter. Sometimes if you say you do 2 questions and you're done, you can exit and say I'm done. So you do have options in session to keep it shorter or longer, but I'd say the average time is probably 15 to 30 minutes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is really great, and definitely please take advantage of this. Again, remember there are limited spaces, so the sooner you take advantage of it, the more likely you are to get those spaces. But I also like the idea of, maybe if you're feeling confident about demo day, which I hope you are, maybe that freestyle presentation is the one that you want to do, so that you can get used to on the fly answering some of those questions, which is a good practice for those demo day breakout rooms that you're going to go into after. So with that, I'll do one more call. Any more questions for Christina? All right, well, let's give her a big round of applause. Thank her for coming on such short notice and sharing such a wonderful software with us. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you have any questions about InStage, don't hesitate. Just send me an email and I'll try to get the answers for you.
Will do. Wonderful. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Christina. For everyone else, we're going to take a really quick body break. Please come back right at 2 and we'll get started on our next presentation, which is a continuation of yesterday. We're going to continue talking about sales. So I'll see you in about 3.5 minutes. Fly, fly. So everyone, hopefully you are back by now. You can see that Jenny has popped Scott's presentation into the chat. So if you would like to follow along with his slides, they are there for you. As you all already know, because I'm super unprofessional, I told you that this is my little brother and we are super excited to have him here. Scott, earlier this week, I told them the story of when Annie hit you in the chest with a firework. So they're already really predisposed to like you a lot.
It is my most impressive story.
It truly is. It truly is. So everyone, as I've already also told you, Scott is a sales professional. He's the CEO of Wakewater, and he's going to tell you a little bit about that. But as Taylor got me to do, I'm going to read Scott's bio to all of you because it's super fun to read professional accolades of people in your personal life. So a little bit about Scott. Scott Currie is an entrepreneur and sales executive with experience in small, medium, and large consumer packaged goods companies. Scott is the CEO of Wakewater Beverage Company, a fast-growing startup that is trailblazing a new subcategory within the beverage industry. Scott leads a strategy and execution across all functions with particular attention to sales, brand strategy, and e-commerce. Prior to working at Wakewater, Scott founded SMC Cannabis Wholesale and held sales leadership positions at Procter & Gamble and Duracell through Berkshire Hathaway. He was called on retailers such as Loblaws and Canadian Tire. Scott is a GAP-trained negotiator and experienced relationship manager. Scott has earned a Bachelor's of Business Administration from Wilfrid Laurier University, and he enjoys spending time outside and everything to do with sports. Hi, Scott. Take it away.
Hi. That was super uncomfortable listening to that, but always nice to hear. I will. I'll start sharing my screen here. There we go. All right. Let me know when you guys are able to see my screen, and I'll kind of jump in.
You're good.
Perfect. All right, guys. So as Kelsey alluded to, the vast majority of my experience is within consumer packaged goods, and by vast majority, I mean all of it. And so we're going to be very heavily focused on product and businesses that relate to product for the entirety of this session. If you do run a service-based business, doesn't mean it's not going to be useful for you. The vast majority of this hour is going to be going through a format to tell the story of your business and how you can use that to close sales and grow customers, both as individual consumers and if you're a B2B business, large businesses. And then all the demonstrations that we're going to go through are going to have a focus on retail. So I understand some of you are actually consumer packaged goods companies. So it will be super valuable for you guys to help build sales structures to go after retail. So before we jump in, Kelsey did a quick intro on me, but like you said, I began my career at Procter & Gamble in sales, spent a little bit of time in market strategy and planning, but most of it was in sales, and market strategy and planning is still just another vertical of it. Before going to Duracell and then going back to P&G. And then in 2019, I was kind of done with the whole big corporate life and wanted to start my own business, do something a little bit more entrepreneurial. So I moved out to Saskatoon, started a cannabis wholesale company. It was a lot of fun, learned a lot, had some early success, ended up deciding to shut down the business midway through last year. Wanted to get back to Ontario, get back to my family. It was tough being out there alone, but still a great experience. And then I was fortunate enough at the start of this year to join a fast growing beverage startup called Wakewater. So allow me to do my quick 10-second pitch on Wakewater. It's Canada's first caffeinated sparkling water. So we have 85 milligrams of green tea caffeine infused with L-theanine, which is an amino acid you find in green tea. And so Wakewater is our play on a better for you energy drink. It allows longer lasting energy from a clean source with no crash. It's also zero sugar, zero sweetener, zero carbs. And we're in the process of scaling our distribution. So in a similar stage to a lot of you. So it's a lot of going to individual stores as well as some of the big head offices, nailing down what our sales pitch is going to be and why they want to bring us in versus some of the other existing players within energy drinks such as Red Bull, Monster. They're a bit more established, but also against some of the other startups that are playing in our space. So Guru is an example of a good Canadian company that kind of plays in a similar space, and how we differentiate ourselves from them is really important when we go in and have these conversations with retail. So that's a bit on my experience. Like I said, the vast majority of today is going to be going through the sales structure, but the first 5 minutes, I want to talk to you guys a bit about potential omni-channel strategies as you evaluate going into retail versus going online, and how you can have them work together. I'll show you guys how we're approaching it with Wakewater. And then at the end of the session today, we're going to have you pair off and do an actual role play, because I think you guys had another sales professional in earlier this week who talked about practice is the number one thing for sales. I couldn't agree with it more. I like to say, the more at bats you get, the better you're going to be with it. That's again kind of what Kelsey alluded to. Sports metaphor. Sports is my life outside of Wakewater. All right, guys. So omni-channel strategy. The way one of the questions I think about a lot and get asked a lot as well is when you're starting a consumer goods business, should you do it online or should you go through retail? And so there's positives and negatives to both of them. For example, retail is a heck of a lot more efficient. You're going to get a lot lower supply chain fees, and you're going to get cash in larger quantities a lot quicker. That being said, when you compare it to e-commerce, the retailer's taking a margin, you're going to have a distributor likely who's taking a margin. And so you're going to be making less money on every unit that you're selling to retail. And so the positives and the negatives are definitely there for both channels. What I think is really important though, is that you need to have them working together. And so what I mean by that is, don't approach online and retail as the same thing. So if you're selling a 12 pack of your product online, don't also approach it like, I'm going to sell a 12 pack at retail at the exact same price. And it's just going to work because it's more eyes, and some people want to buy online and some people want to buy in store. I would push you guys to be a bit more strategic about it. And so I'll give you an example of the way we're thinking about it. So with Wake Water, we started as an online business first because it's easier to start an online business. The barriers to entry are a lot lower, and we could get product in consumers' hands faster. So we could be getting live feedback right away. And so when we started that, the main thing that we learned was for a brand and a product that nobody's tried, having the smallest pack size be 12 pack that we sell for $27.99 is a heck of a big ask for consumers who have never tried the product before. And so the solution that we needed to do was, can we either find a way to sell singles profitably online? We couldn't. It's expensive to ship a single can. Or could we find a way to trial them effectively online? And again, we found when we did a sampling run online, we ended up getting picked up by a giveaway account where we had like hundreds of people on our site at the same time. They almost crashed our store, and we had to shut it off right away. And we ended up losing a ton of money on it. So not a tactic I would recommend. The way that we're now approaching it is we are focused on getting as much distribution as fast as we can until we get to 1,000 doors. And we're only offering singles available at retail. And so the main reason we're doing that is we want consumers to have a low cost vertical that they can go in and try the product. And so they're buying it for $2.79 at shelf. And then after that, we're working to retarget them based on a couple of things. One, we are exploring the option of slipping in cards that redirect people back to the site into our cases. It is another one. And then two, we're doing sampling in store where the call to action is to pick up some more product in store, but also driving them back to the site. And so the way we're thinking about it is go in, try it in store, go to our website, buy a 12 pack or 24 pack, and then make it part of your everyday life. And so there's certain downsides to that as well. So we've actively made the decision that large pack sizes are going to be the only size that we sell on our site, and it's going to be the only place where you can get large pack size. And so one thing that means is we can't actually go to Costco. If Costco were to come to us and say, hey, we want to place a big order, we'd have a very difficult decision to make because it's hard to say no to the volume. I can tell you right now, we are mentally prepared to say no to that because Costco requires certain economics on their product that would make it less attractive for consumers to go to our site. And it's super important for us to own that relationship and continue to scale it that way. So the other thing that we're actively not doing is a lot of stores have said, hey, we need to do it in a 4-pack. 4-pack's a better selling size or format for your category. And we're actively saying no to that as well because from the consumer research we've done, we know that $9.99, which is what we would price a 4-pack at, is too big of an ask for people who've never tried the product. So we're focused on getting it in their hands at the lowest cost possible to the consumer because we can't actively sample everyone. We are just a team of 3 people. So that would take a lot of effort that we frankly just don't have the time to do. So I'm going to pause there, guys. I know a lot of you run online businesses. Are there any questions on the omni-channel strategy before we kind of jump into different sales structure? Once. Okay, perfect. All right, guys. Now I'm going to spend the rest of today's session going through strategic selling format. And the way this works is something called persuasive selling format. And so it's 5 steps. And this is how you're going to structure your sales pitches to all prospective clients and customers. So the first one is going to be summarize the situation. This is where you're really laying the groundwork for your story. Second one is state the idea. This is a very clear call to action. So in the example that retail that we're going to continue through this, it's I want you to list my product here on this date. And then for the explain how it works, this is just the nuts and bolts of your plan. Like, how are we going to make this happen? Step 4, sometimes this is necessary, sometimes it isn't. We'll talk about instances where it is and isn't, is where you're going to go back and highlight the reason to believe in your product or service, again, for the customer or consumer. And then step 5 is close. So the one caveat I will say before we jump into this is, like every other selling workshop I hope you've heard, is if you're getting buying signals from whoever you're selling to, close right away. If you're going through the summary of the situation where you're like, okay, like here's like the setup for like why my product is amazing. And the person's like, yes, I love this. Like, how do I make it happen? Just boom, go right to the close. You're done. You don't need to take them through your story. There's no value in that. So that's just the first part. So the summary of the situation. So this is where you want to be discussing the market conditions, needs, and opportunities of your customer. You want to outline the benefits of your product or service. You really want to think of this as a data dump for your customer. So I'll take you guys through there's 3 key points that I try to get out in the summary of the situation every time I'm talking about Wakewater. And so the overall headline is that we are a better for you energy option. And energy drinks are a fast growing space. They're growing 8% a year for a total category. And a lot of that growth is coming from new, healthy, better for you options. The second one is, it's 4 points. The second one is 85% of consumers indicate that they need to pick me up at some point throughout the day. So 85% of people get tired in the middle of the afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. You're probably all hitting that right now. And so hopefully you're still paying attention. The next one is that traditional energy drinks, so Red Bull and Monster, have 19% household penetration. And so even though 85% of people would need to pick me up, only 19% of them are getting it from energy drinks. It means they're either getting their energy from a different source. Sorry, guys. Like coffee or tea, which is a much lower dollar ring and so much less valuable for traditional retail, or they're going without that energy because there's nothing out there that meets their needs. And then the final point that I try to get across during this summary of the situation is that 50% of consumers have indicated that they wish there were healthier energy drink options out there. And so all of this is to say it's really important to like have traditional research out there. You can be pretty scrappy with how you get your data. I can tell you 3 of my 4 points are from an article I read that Perrier released because they're launching a healthy energy drink. And so I've just shamelessly stolen them and I put them in a presentation and then I source an article on it. And so don't think you need to have like thousands of dollars to go buy data. There's ways that you can get it. I would say big companies are fairly liberal with sharing it online, particularly when they're going through big launches. Any questions here on the summary of the situation before we move to state the idea? I would say this is the most important part of your sell. Perfect. All right, guys, next is state the idea. This is just one line, super clear, super concise, and it's all action oriented. So for an example, with Wakewater, again, I would say, I want you to list both grapefruit and lemon in the fridge and place an order on this day. Like that, like super clear, don't leave any room for confusion. And this is not the time to get bashful. Like you want to make sure you're bold and asking for what you want. Perfect. All right, guys, next is how it works. We talked about this. This is the executional details. So again, with Wakewater for us, it's our distributor is called Neil Brothers. Your order day is on Monday. We want you to place an order through Neil Brothers on Monday. Here's the code. You can have different things in there. It's like, okay, for certain size stores, we're going to give you a free fill for your first case. And we recommend you to price it at $279. And so that's your first case, you're going to make like $65 risk-free. And so that's all the executional details on how it's getting into their store. Again, this should be like 2 to 3 points, nothing major. And you want to keep it conversational as well. All right. Next one, guys. Again, so this is only if it's necessary. If you've gotten to this stage in your selling deck and you're kind of not getting buying signals from your customer, this is the point where you want to reinforce the key benefits. So if you're getting like lots of objections, they're throwing out like a bunch of reasons like why they don't want your product or service, then you want to circle back to the summary of the situation where it's like, okay, so Wakewater is sugar-free, sweetener-free, carb-free. this category is growing 8% a year. In order for you to capitalize on that 8% a year growth, you need to have a healthier option in the store. And it's going to be worth X amount of dollars for your store if you bring us in. So you really want to go back and put it in their language and reinforce why your plan is going to deliver on the problem or opportunity that you've outlined in your summary of the situation. Again, I can't hit this home enough. That summary is where you're going to make or break the sale. So if you effectively go and create the need and the desire in that part with the right data and the right story, the rest of this is going to just flow through like clockwork. Perfect. All right, guys, the next one is close. And again, super important, be bold here. Make it really difficult for them to say no. Don't just make it easy for them to say yes. You want to make it difficult for them to say no. So I'll give you an example of a close that I did when I was selling cannabis in Saskatoon. I cold called on a retailer and they were kind of giving me like soft yes kind of thing. And I got to the end and I was like, look, I'd love for you guys to try it. Even if you just bring in 3 cases into the store, we offer credit card as a payment method. And if it doesn't go well, you won't hear from me again. And he's like, I don't know, maybe follow up in a couple of weeks. I was like, look, I actually brought the product with me because I know this is the right fit for your store. I've got the credit card machine here. We can make this sale happen right now. And it can be in your store right away. And so because I planned ahead, I had it all in there. He hummed and hawed a little bit, but ended up taking it. And if I hadn't been bold enough to ask right then what I wanted, he probably would have just sat on it and ghosted me because he wasn't super sure about the product going forward. All right, guys, I'm going to pause. That is the format that we're going to be structuring our sales in. Is there any questions to that before we jump into talking about ways to make this a bit more conversational and not a presentation, and ways to overcome some objections that you're inevitably going to get?
So I'm kind of worried about like our price point for businesses. Like we're a B2B, we're photography, videography, and live streaming services. And so like that's one thing that I've kind of come across is like it is like it's not cheap, but the return is there. But I feel like a lot of people have a hard time. Like I have a hard time communicating that to other businesses properly, I guess.
Perfect. I think that's a great example. Tracy, do you have any data that shows that the payout is there?
Not yet. I have to like dive deeper. I'm trying to find stuff, but it's hard. So I find business to business, I find it really hard to find like research. I don't know why, but
yeah, it's tough to find research. Another thing, particularly for your business, could be client testimonials as well. And so kind of when you're thinking from like your pitch deck and the summary of the situation, the way I would see it going for a business such as yours is your summary of the situation is almost your portfolio of your past work. And so that's both like visual and you describing the work that you've done. And then kind of the hook in that summary that where it's the benefit to them is previous clients have indicated that they got a 3-to-1 return on the investment they made here through a sales lift. And I wouldn't be shy to ask previous clients, like, what did your services deliver? I can tell you we use a digital or a photographer who runs our social channel. And since she's come on, she's doubled our followership in the last 6 months. And if she were to come and ask, I would absolutely let her use that data to go pitch prospective clients.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, any other questions here, guys?
Scott, I have a question for you about sort of the pricing, and obviously there's probably not like a hard and fast rule, but like for you to sell retail versus for you to sell, I guess, wholesale to someone else, what's kind of I guess, like, how do you know what to price for wholesale versus what you're going to sell it for directly to consumers?
Great question. So the first thing I'll say is it's different for every product and industry. I'll tell you the analysis that we did for Wakewater when we first started. So when we looked at Wakewater, it had a potential to play in two product categories. One is sparkling water, and two is energy drinks. And so when we looked at the market leaders in energy drinks for retail, they're selling in individual cans mostly, and they're selling at $2.99 a can. When we looked at the sparkling water category, they're mainly selling in 8-packs, and those 8-packs are working out to about $1 a can. And so from a place on how we could get our margins a bit more attractive, we've made the decision to lean in a bit more to energy drinks, as opposed to leaning into sparkling water. That will also impact where we're placed on shelf, pricing, and our marketing messaging. So that's the first point. And so now we know that we're playing within the energy drink space. The question is, do we want to price ourselves at a premium to them? Do we want to be line priced, or do we want to be value priced? And so that's when we turned to consumer research, looked at the different options. Full disclosure, consumers are always going to say, give me the cheapest price. So you need to take it with a grain of salt when you're doing direct surveys for that. But what we found is consumers found that Wakewater, because it's just caffeinated sparkling water, is a bit more of a consumer say it's a bit more of a simple product, and they would expect it to be more value priced compared to a traditional energy drink that has a bit more ingredients and potentially a bit more complicated formulation. The other part was, because some consumers associated it with sparkling water, they thought it should be priced less because sparkling water is priced less. And so from a retail standpoint, that's how we looked at pricing it first for individual cans at store. The second part of your question was how, when you're looking at it priced online. And so for us, you want to look at it in terms of different pack size and where the value is going to be. I would be very hesitant to sell something cheaper in the same format direct to consumer versus at retail. So for example, I wouldn't sell a can on our site for $2 if I'm selling it for $2.79 at retail. That's a good way to have your customers not list you anymore just because it's going to make them mad. So by going with a different pack size, we avoid that comparison, which is super helpful. And then in terms of our how much cheaper it is per unit, the way we got to that was by there's a concept called sloping, which is as pack sizes get bigger, consumers expect to pay less. It's just like if you go to Costco, you expect to get a discount because you're buying in such a large pack size. And that as the same thing as if you buy like a 4 versus an 8-pack at a grocery store, you would expect the 8-pack to be cheaper per unit. And so every industry kind of has different sloping. So you're going to want to look at it for your specific category. What I can tell you for us is in every pack size, the cans tend to get about 7% cheaper. And so when I first started the job, we were only 3% cheaper for a 24-pack versus a single can. And so we were very uncompetitive from a large pack size, and we were not closing enough consumers in that size, and which is super important because it is a habitual product. And so we did drop it down to like $49.99 is our price, which is 7% cheaper than our 12-pack, which is 7% cheaper than our 4-pack, which is 7% cheaper than our single.
Thank you.
Any other questions here before we move on to some objection handling and ways to make this a bit more conversational?
Yeah, I have a question. So it doesn't apply to the business that I'm working on right now, but it's still something that I have in mind. So if I want to create a platform for other businesses that are in my niche to be on my platform, what would be the main, like other than like, is it just that if I have the audience, that would be the main selling point? Because the selling point obviously has to correlate with and how would you like making money off of it? Would it be like a percentage like of everything, or is that like a membership? Like what would you suggest in that kind of situation?
Yeah, tough for me to know. Can you share a little bit more about your business?
Right. Well,
What's the network that you'd be giving access to?
so I help businesses, organizations, like as a consultant, create tangible change towards the empowerment of the Black community. So I'm in contact with the Black community because I do a lot of like activism, advocacy work. So, but at the same time, working with businesses to help them, look at the gaps within their businesses, helping them to learn tools and tricks to just be more effective and have more equity and inclusion within the work that they're doing for the Black community. And so I want to be able to eventually have a platform to have Black-owned businesses sell their products at We Black Market. So right now it's We Black Consulting that I'm in Leap In with, but like if I wanted to in the future have like We Black Marketplace where there's just a whole bunch of Black owned businesses, because I know a lot of Black owned businesses are kind of, again, it's trying to get more products to the Black community. And so I wanted to have that place where I'm like, okay, if I have that following, if I position myself as that, it would be a benefit for them to be on our site, so that it's almost like we manage the site. You just have to be shipping out your product as they're bought. So this is almost like, does this seem feasible, or is it like they have their own site? Why would they want to be on my site?
Super cool. I love your business too. I think there's a variety of ways that you can go. It's very simple. There's a lot of health food marketplaces out there, and they price a different. They have different models. I'll talk about a few that come to mind. So there's one that I encourage you to actually look into. It's called Rise Market. So it's a health food retailer that's online. They make money in two ways. They actually buy product directly from vendors such as us. And then they charge a membership fee to their customers. And then they take a very small markup on the product. So think of them as like the Costco of health food, except not bulk sizes. Actually, Amazon, to be honest, Amazon Prime is probably a better example than Costco for them. So what they're making money by taking a small margin on everything. And then two, they make money from their membership. The other model that I would say as a business owner, I find a little bit less compelling is when there are marketplaces that come out there, come and say, hey, we're going to take a percentage of sales of everything that comes through our site. But you need to do the shipping and we don't guarantee any of the volume. You would have to have a very large captive community for that to happen. That's how Amazon makes money through. Amazon's got a bunch of different ways that they make money. Sometimes they buy the product and sell it themselves. The vast majority of the way that they make money is they have vendors such as myself who go and list our products on their site, and then Amazon actually does the shipping for it, and then Amazon just charges us for the shipping and then charges a 15% fee. Again, a lot less compelling unless you've got a massive, highly engaged community. I think that's going to be a tough sell because the barriers to entry to e-com are so low for consumers. I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just I think it's going to be a tougher model for you to execute versus if you're buying the product and reselling it yourself. There's just a few more ways that you can make money. But obviously there's cash considerations to that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions here, guys? Perfect. I'm going to move on. I think I'm running a little bit late. We may have to cut the exercise a bit shorter, but that's okay. All right, guys. Overall PSF tips. We talked about this. Be confident when you're closing. One that I didn't talk about is don't be afraid of silence. I find most salespeople, myself included, actually, when nobody's talking, and if you're leading it, tend to feel like, oh my God, I need to fill the silence. This is awkward. Don't be, just don't, like, take a breath, count to 3 in your head, give the person time to think, particularly if you're in a negotiation. You want to make sure that you're using the silence and in some cases making them uncomfortable. One other thing I will say is, in my experience, people tend to like to say yes and not say no. And so the more silence you use, the more a little bit uncomfortable you can make your customer, the more likely you are to get a yes. That's just something that I've found from my experience. Number 4, we're going to talk, we already talked about close immediately if you're getting buying signals. Number 4, we're going to talk about keeping it conversational. So that's like question asking as opposed to just like data dumping on people and not making it interactive. And then finally, what we already talked about, more at bats, the better you'll be. All right, guys. And so within the persuasive selling format, through all of the steps, we want to make sure that we are asking smart questions to our clients and customers to get them engaged, and ideally helping them build the sell story that we're trying to build at the same time. And so there's 4 types of questions. You don't necessarily need to keep them in the bucket. This is just a good reference point as you're prepping your questions ahead of time. 1 is information. This is just trying to gather, frankly, information about your customer and their business. 2, issue. These are just like trying to create problems that your customers are having so that you can use that and try to solve them with your product or service. Impact. What is the potential upside or downside for them if they do or don't take your offer? And then importance, like this is often like where it sits on their priority. And so an example I'll give is like, if you're working with a buyer at a retailer who is up for a promotion and they're looking for something to make a big splash ahead of time, that it could be very important for them to launch something exclusively that makes them look really good internally. So it's always important to remember in selling interactions, you are dealing with human beings who have different interests that may not just be like data. I want to grow the sales from my company. They may be going for a promotion, or they may be someone in their careers like, you know what, I just want to leave at 4 o'clock. I need this to be as low impact to my life as possible. And I don't want to do anything too big, and it's finding the best way to take advantage of each person's individual needs. And then finally, objection handling. I will tell you, selling to retail, I get the same objection over and over again. And especially when you're trying to sell in new distribution, every store says they don't have enough space. If a store tells you they don't have enough space, that is what the definition of a false objection. Every store has enough space if they like the product enough. They just have to remove something. And so we just need to make sure that we're creating the sell and making it compelling enough that they are willing to make that switch. And so the process that we want to go through when an objection comes up is determine, understand, verify, handle. And so number 1 is we need to get all of the objections out in the open right away. So it's like, okay, you don't have enough space. Okay, the margin's not high enough. Okay, the price point is too high. Okay, you don't like the taste of the product. And then we'll go back and understand. So we'll dig into all 4 of those individually, and then maybe they'll say like, oh, actually they do like the taste of the product, and they can make the space on shelf, but the price point is too high for them, and the margin isn't enough. And so then verify the understanding. Like, so if we were to come up with a solution or for pricing and margin, would you be willing to list us? And then if they say yes, you can immediately discount those first 2 objections, and then you handle it either by adjusting the pricing or going back and getting them data to show that the pricing and the margin that you're going at is going to be compelling enough for them to list it. Quick pause there, guys. That's a lot of data. Any questions before we move into a quick demo? I'm going to have Kelsey be a buyer, and then we'll go through just a quick selling interaction before we go into our breakout session. Perfect. Okay, Kelsey, you want to take yourself off mute?
Yep.
Okay. What retailer would you like to be?
I'm going to be a small health foods company located in Woodstock, Ontario.
Okay, good choice.
Thank you.
And you want to be buying Wake Water or cannabis? You can.
Could buy both with this model, couldn't I? But I think I'm pretty regulated in Ontario for cannabis, so I will buy Wake Water today.
Okay,
I
awesome.
like the product better anyway.
Perfect. I love it. Well, Kelsey, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. I really appreciate it, and your store looks great.
Thank you so much. I got my husband to build it for me. He in fact sanded the floors himself.
Well, I've heard Taylor's a great guy.
Super cool.
Amazing. Can you share a little bit more about your business? Like, what are the big priorities for the upcoming quarter?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So in our business, we're pretty small, focused mostly on local. Ontario, if we can, Canada, if we can't. With that, our priorities are to provide healthier options to Oxford County. We are in an area with so much agriculture and so much, natural space and beauty. We want to make sure that that's echoed in our food as well.
Totally. So I heard a couple of things there. The local's a big priority and health food's a big priority. Is that right?
That is correct.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about Wake Water. Have you had a chance to try our product yet?
I have, yes. I tried actually both lemon and grapefruit.
Ooh, which do you prefer?
I prefer the lemon.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think of the product overall?
I like it, but I do have to say that as not a huge caffeine drinker, when I drink it, it gives me so much energy that my house gets really clean.
Amazing. Yeah, I totally get it. You might be caffeine sensitive. I bet you drink tea instead of coffee.
I do.
That makes a ton of sense. Well, do you mind if I tell you the story of how Wake Water came to be?
I'd love that.
For sure. So Wake Water was originally made in the Iconic Brewing office. And so Iconic Brewing is actually the makers of Cottage Springs vodka soda. Mm-hmm. And so we found we were working long hours and in the Toronto startup scene and going to a lot of demos. And we were at the demos, we were looking for a pick-me-up and we weren't huge coffee fans. And when we looked at the energy drink options out there, we were thoroughly underwhelmed. And so while a Red Bull does do the job, there's always a trade-off. And we weren't super excited to be putting that amount of sugar into our body on a regular basis. And so given our background in making beverages, we said, we can probably make something better. And so we just started mixing Wake Water in our own office strictly for the benefit of our employees. And so when we started getting good feedback from our employees, we tested it with a few offices around ours and again, got some great feedback on the product. And so we thought, holy crap, we may have a brand here. And so we started to do some market data. And so when we looked at the energy drink segment, we actually found that it's expected to grow at 8% each year for the next 8 years, which is super compelling. So we've got a large market that's growing really quickly. But then when we really narrowed in on the consumer, we actually found that 85% of people indicate that they need a pick-me-up at some point throughout the day. And only 19% of households are purchasing energy drinks. So while there's a huge need of people who need that pick-me-up throughout the day, they're not getting it from traditional product offerings that are on your shelf right now. And so when we dug a little bit deeper and surveyed further, we learned that 50% of people actually wish there was a healthier option for energy drinks. And so that's why we specifically formulated Wake Water to look or to cater to those type of people. And just, I want to make sure this is a right fit for your store though. So when you look at your set within energy drinks, I see you have Guru right there. There's a bit of a better for you play. How do you find they perform?
Just okay, I would say, since we do focus primarily on foods, the beverages that play well in our store are more like our fermented kombuchas, those types of things. So I would say that something you were talking about Monster and Red Bull, that doesn't really play with our audience, as you would say. But we just recently got Guru and they've done a little bit, but not a lot, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If you'll allow me, I'll say the difference. So I think Guru's done a good job of taking the first steps within energy drinks. They market themselves as the crap-free energy drink. And I think that's a great strategy for them, and it's a good strategy for them to win in gas and convenience, where that consumer is a little bit more trained to go and buy an energy drink, and they're like, oh, I'm going to make a healthier option. I'm going to choose Guru. But at the end of the day, they're still using preservatives, and they still have stevia in their product. When people come to a health food store, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't have that energy need that we see most consumer has. It's just they have a higher standard of what's healthy. And so a lot of the makers out there are playing in that kind of in-between zone that's like a little bit healthier for you. Whereas Wake Water, we are 0 sugar, 0 sweetener, 0 carbs. And we're actually really playing into that healthy, active consumer who knows what they're putting in their body. And I would also like to say that we use an amino acid that you found in green tea called L-theanine to make it so you're not getting that caffeine crash and you're not getting the jitters that you would associate with coffee or normal energy drinks.
Yeah, I definitely like that option, that it's a little bit healthier. Tell me a bit more about how much it's going to cost.
For sure. So Wake Water, we sell wholesale for $31.20 a case. And we have an SRP of $279. And so if you buy direct from us, we can take credit card and you're making over 50 points of margin. Alternatively, we also work with Neal Brothers, who I believe you do have an account with. So if you want to have seamless billing, you can do that. The price through them though is $44. So it really depends on personal preference. If you want to limit the amount of manual work, I think Neal Brothers is a great option for you. If you're interested in testing it out at a higher margin through us, we can definitely make that happen right now.
Yeah, I think I would be interested in testing it. Just one quick question. You had mentioned that it was formulated in Toronto, but as I mentioned, really focused on local. Can you confirm that it is in fact produced locally as well?
Yeah, it's a great question, actually, and thank you for bringing it up. We actually manufacture 100% in London, Ontario, so just down the road from you. And all production is always going to be within Canada. You actually heard it. Black Fly Beverages is where we manufacture.
Very good. Yeah, I think I'd like to go forward with a trial if that's something we could set up.
Absolutely. So I've actually got a Square reader here, so we can pay by credit card, or we can set you up for EFT. What would you prefer?
My credit card with me.
Perfect. All right, let me go get the machine, and we'll get you set up with an order.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey. So guys, a couple of things there. One, I think Kelsey did a great job. She gave me a couple of things to circle back on. She actually helped me out there. I didn't circle back on the local. I really should have done that. I really dug into the health food. So kudos to her for bringing that to me. The other thing that you'll notice is I wasn't linear through that. So it wasn't like summary of the situation, state the idea, how it works, benefits. Because it was a conversation, we lived like 90% of our time in the summary of the situation. And then we started to move through and do the idea and the how it works at the same time. And then when she kind of came up with a bit of an objection, being like, okay, like what's the price? We kind of went back to the summary of the situation a little bit before we went to the close. And so all that is to say, like, don't think of this as like, I am a robot, I need to go through the steps. Think of it as like, I need to prep these steps separately and then flow through them. And the first time you do it, it will probably be very linear, and that's fine. The more times you do it, the more you'll be able to just like pick up different points that you've got in different sections and use them as in the normal flow of a conversation. Perfect. All right, guys, any questions? We've only got 13 minutes left, and I want to do a demo. It's just going to be, or I want to do a breakout session. It's just going to be a little bit rushed. Okay. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you off in pairs of 2. This was supposed to be 20 minutes. I over-talked. My mistake. I'm a sales guy. And so what I'd like you guys to do is write down a couple points for each of the sections. So 2 to 3 for summary of the situation, 1 clear, concise line for state the idea, 2 to 3 on how it works, 2 to 3 on reinforcing key benefits, and then how you would close. So take 5 minutes to do that for each of your products or services. And then in the last 8 minutes, please pitch to each other and get feedback or give each other some feedback.
Can you pop that in the chat, Scott?
Yeah.
Thank you. And would you like them to work on this in their breakout rooms or just together here?
In the breakout rooms.
All right. All right. I'm sending you your rooms now. If you have any questions for us, you can pop back. You'll be able to see the chat once you're in there. Go ahead. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you got an opportunity to try out sort of a different version, I guess, of your pitch by going through a sales ask. Scott, do you want to ask them any questions?
Yeah, for sure, guys. Overall impressions. Did anybody find it super enlightening? Any big ahas? Was it difficult?
I really like this because when I was listening to Ashley's, it sounded so conversational, yet it was a sales pitch, you know? And so that was really interesting because when she was done, I was like, oh, wow, that did not sound like a sales pitch. It really sounded like just getting information. I'm like, oh, this is a great way to even, you know, put go and compare it to the pitch that I've created to make it more conversational. But yeah, I really like the activity.
Yeah, I think that's a great insight. I think in general, people don't like being sold to. I mean, I've dedicated the majority of my life to sales and I don't even like being sold to, but you like it when you're having a conversation. So if you can make it feel like a conversation, actually, kudos to you. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Bodhi. Anybody else want to share some ahas, insights? Anyone find it really difficult?
Yep.
Yes.
What did you find difficult?
Well, for me personally, I was just chatting with Steve about how, like, I took the business fundamentals entrepreneurship course at Fanshawe, and there was an entire class about sales and making a sales pitch. So trying to do it in that amount of time, I find that's hard. But I mean, all the information is here. It just, my mind doesn't work so fast.
For sure. Yeah. And that's my fault. You guys were supposed to have 20 minutes. We only gave you 10. I talk too much. Awesome. Any other insights, guys, before I'm going to ask two people to demonstrate? Okay. I need 2 volunteers to demonstrate what you did in your breakout sessions. Guys, remember what I said about silence. I will wait here all day.
And I'm mean and we'll pick someone to go if you don't choose yourselves.
I totally would have went if I was actually done mine. I only got halfway through. So please don't pick me. I actually wasn't done.
Does anybody want to volunteer to just read off what the points they had for each section? You don't necessarily have to do the role play, just read off the points. All right, Brittany, thank you.
All right. So the one that I did it. So first of all, I run Read Supplies Canada. It's a online store that sells double read supplies to Missouri Noble players. So we have our own line of products. So I did it for our cup holder and tool holder, which is right here. So my summarized points was just kind of getting the conversation about an overcrowded music stand and what that looks like for double reed players, and kind of just relating to, oftentimes you'll go into a band classroom and half your stands will just kind of flop over. So that was kind of like my connection point that I'd written down. The idea is to kind of help solve that and get kind of more focused on reading the music rather than everything else that's on your stand. And then explaining how it works is just like a demo of the product. And then there's magnets on the front as well that help for holding tools, as well as it like holds a cup of water. So
very cool.
Yeah, I was like, I had it out because I was demoing it today. And then reinforce key benefits. I had written down just like the problems that like a lot of double reed players face and how this solves, that kind of goes with them. And then just giving information about, we have different models as well, so that there's different like entry points of price, and then saying the sales channels and stuff.
Perfect. I love it. My favorite part was you talked about the summary of the situation, just like all about illustrating the need, right? Like you want to get people thinking like, oh my God, this is a terrible problem. I need to solve it. And well, here's Brittany. Wow, she's got this amazing product that solves it. That's awesome. Does anybody else want to share? Going once, twice. All right, guys, that is it for me. Does anyone have any other quick questions before we wrap up? Go ahead, Brittany.
Yeah, I was just wondering, for sales in particular, when you're reaching out to like stores and stuff, do you have a typical amount of time that you wait before you do follow up if they haven't responded, or how do you work with that?
Yeah, my general rule is once a week. If I haven't heard back, I'll follow up. The only time I go outside of that is if there's like, they just say like, oh, I had like a death in the family, give me some time, or like, I'm getting surgery or something. You just want to be respectful, but most of the time it's just like people have limited time. Continue to follow up, like literally over and over again. I mean, I sell 2 SKUs, and so I don't have a lot of new news to bring people. I will follow up on those same 2 SKUs over and over again if I have to, until they tell me to leave them alone.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, guys, any other questions before we wrap up? All right, guys, thank you so much. Kelsey, I think you sent out the presentation. It's got my email, phone number. Feel free to reach out at any time if you have any questions about sales, building a presentation, or just like anything in business. I generally love this stuff, so always happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Thank you so much for being here. We've appreciated having you. And yeah, as Scott said, I'll give a little bit of a plug here that he often tells me how cool my job is. So if you do ever actually want to talk to him, please feel free to definitely reach out, because he does really love this stuff. And wake water is actually very delicious. All right, if you are able, please turn on your cameras, and if not, throw up a clapping emoji and we will give Scott a good send off. Thank you for being here, Scott. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye, Scott. Thank you.
See you, Dave.
All right, everyone. Thank you for that. You will notice that our next speaker also has already joined us. Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Hi, Kelsey. I am well. I am busy as ever, and yeah, just doing super good. No complaints.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to hearing about that busyness and what you've been doing. Jesse, if you'll bear with us, is it okay if everyone takes maybe a 2-minute body break just to grab a glass of water, maybe do a quick stretch, and we will come back for brag and drag at, let's say, 3:10. All right, so we will see you all at 3:10. Come back thinking about what you are going to brag and drag about. We are here for Brag and Drag, my favorite part of Leap In, where every Thursday afternoon we have authentic conversations about entrepreneurship. I sound like a talk show host, and today my guest is Jesse Long of the Hot Sauce Co. I will let Jesse do his introduction, but what we are going to do today is we're going to have Jesse tell us a little bit about himself, his business, his time in Leap In, and what he's been doing since then. And then he will lead our Brag and Drag, where he will then call on someone to go next. And they will give their brag and drag and call on the next person. What I'm going to get you to do today in order to introduce yourself to Jesse, you fortunately had some time to prep. I want you to go through and state step 1 and step 2 in point form from the activity you just did. So summarize the situation that you would need your product or service for, and then explain the idea. So step 1 and step 2 of the activity you just did. I popped it back in the chat for your reference, so hopefully you were using your time wisely. With that, I will turn it over to Jesse. Jesse, welcome to the Leap In Talk Show. How are you today? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well. My name is Jesse Long, and I'm the founder of the Hot Sauce Co. We're a premium straight up hot sauce company from London, Ontario. We create nutritionally flavorful products that inspire a bold and healthy lifestyle using all natural, fresh ingredients. Our products will show you that there's no need for funny names or gimmicks. You'll see that flavor and heat are friends with many benefits. I've been operating this business since February of last year. I was lucky enough to be accepted into the Leap In program, which really like springboarded me into understanding entrepreneurship, the fundamentals, the building blocks that you really need to go ahead and to go forward with your business. The guests that you guys get to speak with are like the gold nuggets of the whole program. A lot of the content is really good, but the guests, like, make friends with each and every one of them, get their emails, get their contact info, follow up with them, because those people will be like invaluable to you. Their years and years of experience are going to be really what I found super helpful. After Leap, when we graduated from the Leap program, I was accepted into the Scale Up Food Entrepreneurship program at the Small Business Center, pretty much back to back. So I did like almost a whole year of, well, like 6 months or so of these kind of like entrepreneurship classes. So I'm lucky, I guess. I managed to like go back to back with those. And yeah, that's kind of like, that was my introduction to entrepreneurship. That was all the education that I had ever had on running a business. Prior to that, I studied IT at Fanshawe, worked in the industry for like 5 years, had a big boy job, my name on the office, all that kind of stuff, salary, paid vacation, all that jazz. And it just wasn't what I was passionate about. So then I took the leap into entrepreneurship, and here we are. I'm in over 51 stores now and across Ontario. We're producing like 150 liters a week of sauce. That's pretty much my capacity right now. We're taxed. Yeah, it's very busy. I'm very thankful for all the stuff that Kelsey and Dave and everybody taught me. And yeah, that's managed to, that with all of that information and all that education, I've managed to build this business into something that's paying my bills right now. So if you guys want to be where I'm at, just follow what these guys say and grind, and make sure you're super passionate about what you're doing, because if you just want to get rich or you're just chasing the latest trend, it's a little bit more difficult unless you're like super passionate about what you're getting yourself into. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit about my time with Leap. Then I guess I'll jump into my brag and my drag. I kind of said a bit of my brags, I guess, but I would say the biggest brag and drag is kind of the same thing right now, which is I'm producing 150 liters of sauce a week, and I'm at pretty much my capacity of my human ability and my just the time and equipment that I have. And the drag is the same thing, that I am at capacity and I'm not necessarily losing opportunities, but my opportunities are tough to capitalize on when you have to tell people, you need to wait 5 to 10 business days or 15 business days before I can produce your order, because I have such a backlog of orders. So yeah, that's kind of like my brag and my drag. And it's just kind of like finding the balance on when the right time is to pull the trigger on hiring someone full-time or part-time. Because it's a huge commitment when you're going to start helping someone else pay their bills. You don't want to just it's scary hiring somebody on and then being like, oh, I have like a 2-month lull or something, or maybe I have a month where I don't really need that extra help, but you still need to you have that person counting on you. So that's kind of my brag and my drag, if that made any sense to anybody. All right, I see Steve, I see you nodding, so you can go ahead with your role.
I've volunteered myself, eh? Yeah, so I'm Steve, and along with my wife, we are Proofline Dairy. So we are setting up a creamery on our family's farm, just 10 minutes north of London, and we're gonna make milk, yogurt, and gelato and sell that right from the farm. So, if you're somebody who really values local food and you want to be able to connect with, the farmers that are producing your food, in terms of dairy, we're going to be your best source for that. You're going to be able to come right out to the farm, see our cows, see right into our processing space, ask us questions, get a really good sense of what we do. and and buy direct from us. We're going to process in a really simple fashion, keep things just traditional, low key, and as natural as possible, so we can just provide wholesome and great food for the people in our immediate area. In terms of brag and drag for this week, well, we have a logo now, so that's like super exciting. It seems like, you know, we're like getting to be, you know, legit, so that's fun. And then drag, you know, I think kind of same as last week, you know, just feeling like we got a billion things on the go. Like this is prime time for the farm too, so we're harvesting hay and we got a million projects on the go, and I'm doing this, and it's all great. Like I feel like we're making progress, but just sometimes, you know, not getting a lot of sleep and trying to, you know, just keep things moving forward. So, you know, good but challenging. All right, let's do Josh.
Hi, my name's Josh. I started the company called Nearby Neighbors, where I was doing my marketing pitch. I gotta switch it up. Yeah, sorry. Actually, a quick question then. This is a sales pitch, right? So you go in and you summarize like your talking to a prospect, right, or a lead.
Right.
Okay. Well, then I kind of adopted the situation where I'm knocking on a door, but having a little bit more of a friendlier conversation. So we're looking to mow your lawn. You know, I'm just stopping by houses that look like they're not as maintained as efficiently. So I have a couple questions written down, like, are you happy maintaining the lawn yourself, or are you interested in having somebody else maintain it for you? You know, spark the conversation that way, state the idea. We're connecting students in high school with their first jobs so they can learn leadership and independence and build on their assets for their next job so that they can succeed in the working world. How it works: students show up whenever you like, how often you like, and can do anything that you like that doesn't require heavy machinery and is deemed safe. And then anything else, and then the next steps is, so the close would be, all I need is, you know, a couple pieces of contact information, and then the next starting date, and we'll be ready to go from there. Nice and simple. I'm not sure if that was clear, but hopefully it was. A brag, I guess, is that the craze from the spring is slowing down, and I have a little bit more time to think, you know, about how things are going. I was telling, I think it was Steve and Ashley, about how I'm kind of, you know, things slowed down a lot more than expected. You know, we're not like crazy going out and getting more clients, and you know, the students are just working away, and they have their schedule, and they know how to make each client happy. And so I check in every now and then, and I just get a lot of, yep, we're all good. So I'm working on a couple futuristic style things where, you know, making like bicycle trailers and thinking about how we're going to operate this winter, and, you know, other resources we need for next year to, you know, get some more students and maybe profit would be cool. You know, but the drag is all that thinking is kind of scary, I guess. I'm not sure what's actually going to work out and what's not, you know. So we're hanging in there, going, just keeping things moving, and, you know, the year's kind of slowing down. So that's my quick little recap. I don't know, let's go with Brittany.
All right. So I know it sales is like the whole company, but pretty much I run Reed Supplies Canada. It is an online store that sells reed making supplies to bassoon and oboe players. The reason that we are different is because whenever you purchase reed supplies for reed making, you always have to purchase them from the States or from Europe, and it's very, very challenging to get the supplies that you need in a timely manner. And so we offer a range of products that help you both with reed making as well as reed adjusting. And we can get them, like I said, we can get them to you very quickly. And then we also love to support students and invest in the growth of the double read community within Canada. So we have a bunch of different programs, including student discounts and a community board to help connect players within Canada and give them those opportunities to invest in their instrument. So it's Read Supplies Canada. My brag this week, earlier you guys had spoken about like we're now the distributor for students at U of T, which is like the biggest school studio right now in Ontario, so that's exciting. I've also been in talks with a bassoon camp that runs every year in August, and they're interested in having me for their Read Tuck shop. So that's probably like the new one that's happening. I really want to go to bassoon camp too, so like I'm excited for that, just to see other bassoonists. And then my drag for this week is, oh, I had one. I think it's just schoolwork mostly. Like the end of Leap In and my midterms are compiling at the same time. So it's just like a million projects right now. That's a lot of high stress, but still fun. So yeah, let's go with Rachel.
Hi, Jesse. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rachel. I'm the owner of Rough Life. And let me go back to, I hate sales. I hate them so much.
You better start liking it.
I know. Well, it's not in my near future plans to do sales, so it's something I can work on for sure. But so we saw an opportunity in the growing pet industry to target dog owners with products that provide comfort the way our dogs do. And the increase of dog ownership throughout the pandemic has also demonstrated this need that we can focus on. So we believe that creating comforting, happy vibes in how we accessorize ourselves and our home starts with choosing designs that make us feel that way. For ourselves and our customers, happiness comes from owning a dog. And that's why we design products for humans that are inspired by dogs. So my brag for this week, I remember yesterday Isaac was talking about using all the different elements of like the social media channels that you're on. So I was worried a lot about this demo day video because, like I said, I haven't made a video in a long time. So as soon as Leap was done, I went to Arva and took some video just on my cell phone and then downloaded an app on my phone and figured out how to make a friggin' video. And it's probably not awesome, but it's okay. And my drag for this week is just that it has just been a week. I have a lot of things going on in my personal life, and I did realize that it's a full moon tonight. So this is
Strawberry moon.
Yeah, this woo-woo that Kelsey apparently doesn't like, but I follow this tarot reader on Instagram. Her name is Tarot Lori, and her handle is woo-woo without the cuckoo. So Kelsey, maybe you'll be into that. But she does, part of my language, burn your shit on a full moon. So I'm gonna burn my shit tonight and it's gonna feel good. And let's hear from Jenny.
Okay, sorry, I was so enthusiastically nodding along to that. My brag and drag kind of go hand in hand this week. My brag is that next week I'm on vacation, but my drag is that it's supposed to thunderstorm every day from tomorrow until I'm back at work. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Probably just watch movies, but I hope that there will be at least one sunny day where we can go out and get some fun. And I'm going to pick Abigail.
I just had a feeling you were going to pick me. Okay, so I'm Abigail Ackham. I'm the founder of Christina Hair Care. And let me just get my little pitch here. Typically, Black women with type 4 hair textures face many challenges in caring for their hair. From shrinkage to breakage and tangles, to maintaining protective styles, to being deemed as having unprofessional hair even in its natural state. Can you imagine a world where your own hair growing out of your head is viewed as less professional? Black people face all kinds of struggles, but their hair care regimen should not be one of them. How would you like to transform your hair care regimen into a magical moment of self-care and nurture designed to celebrate your crown of hair? Let Clina Hair Care take you from step one to step done. And my brag. This week has been pretty interesting. Kelsey, you weren't here yesterday, but I was talking about how I connected with this woman on Facebook who has, she's in like an entrepreneurial powerhouse, and she does business plan writing and all kinds of stuff. So I was originally going to have her review my business plan before the pitch, but I've decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have her review it later on in my business to help her kind of have her help me develop the business plan a little more fully after Leap In. So I'm really excited about that. And my drag, my summer term is my second half of my summer term at school is starting on Monday, and I'm taking 3 courses on top of Leap In. So it's going to be interesting. If I thought things were hectic now, it's about to get real. So yeah, but that's me. Who's gonna go next? Cecilia. I feel like we haven't heard much from Cecilia today.
Okay, so I'm Cecilia. My company is Ecclesia by Cecilia, and I sell modest and elegant clothing for women, specifically dresses and skirts. So I grew up in a Catholic community and noticed that there's a huge gap in the market for modest and flattering clothing. So my goal is to fill that gap by helping women look and feel good without compromising their moral beliefs. My brag this week is that I'm closing in on some fabric suppliers, which is really exciting. It's starting to feel a little bit more real. I don't think I'm going to do a drag. I'm going to stay positive this week. So we'll leave it at that. Let's see. Macy, have you found?
I think Ashley has to leave
Oh.
if you want her to go next.
Yep, that works too.
Darn it, I wasn't ready for you to put me on the spot, Dave. Okay, so hi, my name is Ashley. I am the owner of the Mindful Co. We are vegan and gluten-friendly and nutrient-dense small batch bakery here in London, Ontario. Although I knew this was coming, I totally didn't think of anything. It's been a weird week. Yeah, I don't know. I guess my brag and my drag are kind of the same in that I made some big decisions for my business. I decided to part ways with the one place that I am wholesaling with right now, which I'm actually really excited about, just so I can focus on kind of bringing the brand where I want it to go, and not really having other people's expectations involved, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, my mind, I'm really scattered right now. So Cecilia, sorry, Maisie, you can go now.
Sorry, Ashley, let me just real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to comment on that parting ways with who you're wholesaling with. I also just pulled my stock from a store just because the vibes just didn't check out with how I want my brand to be represented. So totally, it may be a little bit scary if you're getting money from that, or if that's like a revenue stream, but if it's not representing you the way you want your company to be represented, you have to go where that focus is. So
yeah, and that's kind of where my thoughts are on the whole process. And I just actually wanted some time off so that I could really focus on Leap for the month of July and finishing up and with the presentations and stuff like that. but I think in the end, it's going to be like a permanent parting ways, just because, yeah, for the same reasons that you said, it's not the vibe that I want to go with. So thank you for that.
So as an illustrator running my own online store, I know that a lot of us have issues with having no time or space to pack orders or handle or to handle the orders. So I'm opening PencilCat distribution, which will store the merchandise on behalf of artists and handle orders with our order fulfillment and store management services. I guess my brag for this week is I posted something on Twitter a few days ago, and it kind of blew up, and someone contacted me and they were like, can I make a little paper craft of PencilCat? I was like, heck yes. So that'll be cool if she actually does it, because like she's doing it for free, so you know she could just leave it. My drag is that I've been spending a lot of time at my computer desk, so my back has been killing me for the last few days. So that's, you know, remembering to do stretches and stuff. That's just a whole nother thing I got to add to my list of things to remember. So that's fun. Yeah.
That's a super good point, Maisie, because if you're not at like your peak health, then your business isn't going to be able to stay operational, right? So you got to make sure you take care of yourself.
Yeah. Tracy?
Okay, so I currently have dilation stuff in my eyes, so I can't actually read. So this will be very conversational and will not be my pitch at all, like my written down pitch. So hi, I'm Tracy. You can't see me. Let's try and turn the video on. Hi, I'm very close to the camera because I can't see anything. So hi, I'm Tracy. I'm the owner of Select Start Network. I'm photography, videography, and live streaming service, business to business. I love making great imagery for companies, small and large. We are local to London, Ontario, and we do travel outside of the city. And you can also ship your products to us, and we can take photos that way. We are taking every precaution with regards to COVID-19, with regards to portraiture, images, and you can contact us on Instagram, on our website, and you can also book a 30-minute free consultation to see what kind of packages we can put together and come up with a great plan to push your business forward. That's it, I think. My drag for this week, I'm going to start with a positive at the end. So the drag for this week is that there's a lot to do, just a lot to do. And I feel like I'm getting better at focusing, which is the positive. So that's the brag, part of the brag. So I'm able to like compartmentalize like what I need to do a little bit better this week. And I'm hoping that that's kind of the start to like actually everything kind of coming together. So it's kind of a brag and a drag at the same time. And then my other brag, sorry, is that I didn't have to have surgery today, and we're just gonna like keep watching my eyes. So the doctor thinks it's going to get better. It's just kind of like my eyes healing, and that's why I'm having this like complication. Jesse, you didn't know this. I had eye surgery like 2.5 weeks ago, so I'm just updating everybody on that. So that's my brag. So I'm super happy about that.
Running ads.
Oh, we also started running ads. That was a really hard thing to do, and I started it, and it's happening. So.
Well, I know you can't see the screen, Tracy, so all the emojis that came up, but lots of love coming your way. I'm happy to hear about your eyes. That's awesome.
There's just like a bunch of blurriness going on. Like I have to literally get this close to read anything. And my eyes are just watering because of
the dilation, and like I had sunglasses on, but they're driving me nuts. So yeah, I really appreciated all the love that was sent my way, by the way, last week or this week, throughout the week.
Oh, you gotta pick somebody.
Dave, you go. I forgot, but you're the only person I can see.
I just brought that on myself. Okay, my brag. So I just got word from a past client of mine that I did a website and all their SEO for a while back, and actually within a very short period of time, yeah, they just took top spot on Google, which is pretty awesome, and are getting, it's been like a couple months since the site, all the revamping changes I did went live. They have like 5,400% increase in traffic overall. So they're getting like 287 hits a week, which is pretty awesome, and increased revenue, which is super cool. So it was nice to see like actual metrics and like some of the work I helped on take effect. So that was pretty cool and pretty awesome to see. My drag, I don't really have one, guys. I don't know. It's been a good week. I'm a little tired. I think I'm just not very talkative today. I'm a little tired. I don't know. That's it. That's my drag. Other than that, life is great. I'm looking forward. I'm going to Port Stanley tonight to the beach, hit some dinner at GT's and go to Shaw's for some ice cream. So that'll be fun. So yeah, I don't really have anything to be upset about. It's ice cream day, so that's a good day for me. As a lactose intolerant person, you look forward to like ice cream days. And I will pick Evity.
Okay. Just a second. I have to tell everybody in my household that I'm unmuting. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so I'm gonna do my pitch now. Okay, so here's the situation. The last year has been a huge uncovering about realities of marginalized communities in Canada. In light of recent events like the George Floyd murder that went viral and the Indigenous bodies that have been found all around Canada, to say it's sad is an understatement. Can you imagine that this has been happening right under our noses and didn't even realize? I bet you're asking yourself, there has to be more we can do than just following or liking a social media page or even just chatting about these awful circumstances. To make it worse, sometimes you don't even know what you don't know. And sometimes what you don't know is that you're a part of the problem. That's hard to hear. But don't feel bad, because we at We Black Consulting, we support you as a business owner, as a leader in creating tangible change and being a part of empowering Black communities. The fact that you want to be a part of forward movement and creating systematic change is honorable. Let me help you do that. So I'll start with the drag. My drag is I don't usually watch the news, and I don't ever listen to the news, but sometimes on YouTube will just pop up. And so I saw this morning that there was more bodies that were, trigger warning, by the way, that were found and all this. And even though it's like an Indigenous community, I feel really connected because of what has happened to Black communities in Africa as well as in America and here, but a lot of people don't know about it. And so every time all these things come up and it gets recognized, is huge. It's really huge for me. I don't know, I guess it's a drag, but it's a brag also at the same time, but like it's huge, it's emotional. I get some PTSD in that because I connect with that so much. I was feeling some type of way this morning. So I didn't really get a lot done. But the brag is that after my conversation with Ashley, I didn't even get to really finish what I was saying, but she was saying how she's like, oh, I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I would love to follow your journey because with everything happening, I'd love to know how I can help. And so hearing that, I'm not used to hearing that. I'm used to hearing, oh, it's not that bad, or not people not understanding why I do what I do, why I work so hard to do this kind of work. So hearing that is always an encouragement for me. So that's my brag. So thank you, Ashley. And yeah, so I think that's everything.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't gone.
Oh, yes.
Has somebody else not gone?
I don't think Jenny went.
No, she did.
She did? Oh, yes, at the beginning. I'm sorry. So yeah, Kelsey, you can go.
Thanks, Evie. All right. First off, Evie, I hadn't heard your pitch in a couple days. Great improvements. It's sounding really good. Yeah, you all know what Leap Junction does, so I'm not going to do a sales pitch for you. I feel like I go into chaotic neutral when I start doing brag and drag. So I'm going to start with my drag because it's a story of woe that I took off the back porch of my house recently, which I may have mentioned on a sort of break when we were talking in Leap In. So it was a sun porch, took off the walls. So now it's a kind of a covered patio, which seems really nice, but we peeled up a carpet off the floor and now it's got this grayish, brownish, yellow glue stuck to it. And Taylor and I have probably spent at least a dozen hours now trying to figure out how to get this glue off. And it's very, very old. So we have tried chemicals, we have tried scraping it, we have tried power washing it, we have tried sanding it with 3 different sanders, we have tried the boiling water trick, we have tried, and it's not coming off. But now it's not just ugly yellow. There's spots where it does work that if you like really dig into it. So now Taylor is saying, well, we should carpet it, but the whole problem was the carpet in the beginning. And so I'm just going to have an ugly floor on my patio because I learned on last weekend that to get the paint to cover it actually would cost somewhere around $700, and I don't care that much. So this is a really inconsequential brag or drag rather to my life, but I thought that you would all admire this this story of the chaotic neutralness of my house right now.
Did you try Goo Gone?
Yeah, I did. And so the thing is that I could probably get Goo Gone to work, Abby, but I would literally have to use a paint scraper, and it's about a 300 square foot patio. So it would be like cleaning it with a toothbrush.
No.
So if anyone wants to start a business removing old carpet glue from cement pads for outdoor patios, I would be happy to do some customer research with you.
Josh, what about your kids?
My kids?
No, Josh and his students.
Yes. I was like, I don't have kids, Jenny.
Yeah, they're not specialized enough for that kind of job. They still have a hard time pulling weeds and stuff. So,
well, an opportunity for growth in a very, very niche industry. But yeah, other than that, things actually have been going pretty well this week. I had a pretty crappy week last week, as I shared when I had my wonderful sweatpant overalls on. But this week things are looking up a little bit better. And I actually have a massage scheduled for after work tonight. So that is my brag. I have been looking forward to that for quite some time. So it's going to be great. And with that, I believe that is the end of our brag and drag. Yeah, self-care. Exactly. Crushing it, Ashley. Was there anything that anyone wanted to share or chat about?
I just put a link in the chat. I saw a Facebook ad earlier. TELUS is doing this thing where small businesses can win $10,000 from them. So I just put the link to the information in the chat.
Wonderful. Thanks, Abby. Can I impose on you to also pop that on Discord just so that we don't lose it when this call ends?
Sure.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Okay, everyone. Well, good day today. Good week today, or good week this week. Jesse, I want to give a big thank you to you. Thank you for joining us and leading us through Brag and Drag and offering your insights. Everyone, if you are able to turn on your cameras, please do so we can give Jesse a wave. And if you are not, feel free to throw up the clapping emoji. And we say thank you so much to Jesse for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks, folks. It was great to hear, guys, all your pitches and all the businesses and stuff like that. So best of luck, and yeah, have a great day.
Random question, Jesse. How hot is your hot sauce?
How many Scovilles?
Yeah.
What scale are we talking?
I do Scovilles. I watch that show.
Once, yeah. Like my main trio, the hottest it goes is maybe 350,000. The hottest sauce that I make like all year round is a habanero sauce, so it's not crazy. But I do limited edition sauces, maybe like 200 bottle runs that I do with ghost peppers and reapers and all that kind of stuff. And those are like 5 out of 5 or like, you know, millions of Scoville units. So kind of connoisseur level only.
Do you do any work with Scotch bonnet?
I did a sauce called Port of Spain. Yeah, it was like authentic Trini style. And that was like citrus, Scotch bonnet, sweet pepper, vinegar, a little bit of mustard seed. It was super good. Yeah.
I'm a hot sauce nut, so you will probably be hearing from me.
Yeah. Check me out on Instagram, hit me up, let me know. I'm always down to do collabs and stuff like that too. So if you got a recipe you want to do.
Oh, don't get me started. We'll talk, Jesse. We'll talk.
Sounds good, man. I'm stoked.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Jesse. And thank you, everyone, for, again, a wonderful day, a wonderful week. And I believe we've got just 3 weeks left, 4 weeks left. How much time do we have left in the calendar? 4 weeks left. Excellent. But the last week we don't. So we have 3 weeks left to get our deliverables done. And we have 4 weeks left in the program. So that end is coming soon. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, just remember, everybody, Thursday next week's holiday, so you have Thursday off, just as a reminder.
And a reminder with that Fanshawe is also closed on the Friday. So if you need anything from Dave, Jenny, or Jenny's off next week. If you need anything next week from Dave or I, you're going to have to hit us up on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday next week. We will be off Thursday, Friday. Brittany?
Sorry, because I'm blanking for a moment. The creative contracts are due Tuesday if we're using them?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for that reminder, Brittany. Your contracts with your creative assistants are due to be signed to who is ever collecting them in your particular arrangement by Tuesday. Yeah, Brittany?
Sorry, just another question on that. If the projects that we're doing between the two people are like very different, is it okay just to split it into 2 documents?
Oh yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Wait, when you say creative contract, that's not the scoping thing?
It is, yeah, same thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Well, everyone, I hope that you have a fabulous weekend. I hope that you stay dry this weekend, Ashley and Jenny, who sound like they're going to be on vacation. And if you can't stay dry, then I hope at least the rain is warm and you have a good weatherproof jacket. With that, I bid you adieu. Dave and Jenny will stay on with you for a little bit, but I have another meeting at 4, so I will not be staying on with you, but I will see you next week. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.